Tons of big wrestling news stories in this video. So as always, I'm going to put the timestamps in the description down below. Just a quick update on FTR. We know that they've stayed with AEW. This was obviously made very clear when they won the tag team championships. But for those who are wondering what is going on with FTR and their long-term plans, they did reveal after the AEW Rampage tapings last night to the live audience that they have re-signed for 4 more years and then they will plan to retire. Now, this is not shocking that they stayed with AEW. In fact, when you really look at it from a logistical standpoint, I can't even speak for the guys, but every interview that you see, they really try to factor in their family life as a priority. And that is something I definitely respect. So when you look at AEW's traveling schedule and everything like that, logistically, it just makes more sense for them to be in AEW. Now, for them to come out and say, look, they're going to be here for 4 more years, obviously friends and everybody are going to be watching this, right? And for all the fans that are watching, I just want to let you guys know the next 4 years, they're stuck with AEW, right? I hope AEW gets it right. I want Tony Khan to do right by them. That is going to be very important because we know it's going to be over after that. And they're one of my favorite tag teams, and I would argue that they're probably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So I know sometimes that could be a controversial take. I don't think there's anything really controversial of it, but that's just kind of how I see it. Guys, some more AEW news. We talked a little bit about Kenny Omega yesterday, obviously because of Conan's interview. Now there is a lot of talk. Dave Meltzer coming out and talking about Omega still is actually not re-signed with AEW. So Conan said that Kenny was re-signed with the company. Meltzer comes out and says he is still working under his old extended contract and hasn't signed a new one yet. So for those who are curious to know whether Kenny Omega could actually potentially end up in WWE, at this stage of the game, anything is possible. Now you got to wonder, how long did Tony Khan extend his contract for? Because we know, obviously, Kenny Omega was out for quite some time with injuries. Now, if Kenny Omega chooses not to stay with AEW, if he chooses to go to WWE, I don't think there's a problem with that. I really don't. I think you're going to see more top stars leave companies back and forth. And, you know, a lot of people, I've seen this happen in yesterday's video. A lot of people say, well, Ango, that's never going to happen. And then I just have to remind myself that none of us actually thought Cody Rhodes, the guy who starts AEW with Tony Khan, would actually leave AEW to go to WWE. I mean, that was seriously never a thought in our head that it would happen. So I can't sit here and act like this stuff is impossible anymore. Kenny Omega going to WWE down the line is something that would actually potentially make sense. I think Kenny Omega having that massive WrestleMania match would make sense. And I think if you're Kenny Omega, you've done it all, you know? And at the end of the day, you were there for AEW, and maybe it's one of those things where he goes to WWE and just gets his main event match or WrestleMania match or whatever it may be, and then he can always come back to AEW. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But I'm just saying, never say never. That's the thing. Wrestling fans love acting like things are impossible. And it's just like, even when you talk about Drew McIntyre coming to AEW, that doesn't sound unrealistic. It does not sound unrealistic for a top star for any company to go to another company where they can get paid just as much or even more and still wrestle in big arenas and big stadiums. If anything, AEW does have a little bit more benefit because they're not constantly doing house shows all the time. So my point that I'm making is it's not unrealistic, but Dave Meltzer did clarify Kenny Omega did not sign a new contract. So technically speaking, when his extended contract is over, he can technically leave if he would like. Obviously, when it comes to Kenny Omega, I'll keep you guys updated. But as of right now, never say never. All right, guys, what is Vince McMahon's involvement in creative, especially for the WWE draft? Well, this is a story that I want to talk about because the people talking about this specific story, they've generated some conversation on social media. So, Give Me Sport had dropped this article today that Vince McMahon has no impact on Triple H's plan for the exciting event, which is the WWE Draft. Now, the WWE Draft is taking place May 8th in Jacksonville, Florida. And basically, WWE is promising a game-changing draft. Well, now Give Me Sport is coming out, and they're quoting Ringside News. which stated that McMahon will not be involved in the WWE draft and is instead leaving all the work for Triple H, basically, who has been serving as chief content officer. They said that they reached out to confirm Vince McMahon's involvement in the draft process, and we are told that he hasn't put his hands in the situation at all. In fact, a tenured member of Creative informed us that Mr. McMahon has not offered any opinion on the draft. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And I don't know if we should take this with a lot of... I don't know if we should take this as a very significant story. I think everybody who has talked, honestly, this is just my personal opinion. Let me make that clear. I think every person that's talked about Vince McMahon and his creative role in WWE and Triple H, I think they don't know what the hell they're talking about, to be honest with you. I don't. I've been pretty adamant about that. Since Triple H took over, I feel like you still see the Vince-isms on the show. I think the show has improved so much more. Triple H's booking was so much more improved, but there was things that weren't perfect. And I just think a lot of people don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to Vince and Triple H and running the company. Because no matter what, Vince McMahon had allegations that led to him getting canceled. When somebody gets canceled and they don't want to be canceled and they still want to be involved, it's not impossible to think that Vince McMahon had a hand at all within the company. Like, it's not impossible for me to believe that Vince McMahon could have a hand during the WWE draft. And I don't think it really matters that much either. Very interesting. But here's what's even more interesting. Give Me Sport came out with another article today about Edge. Now, you got to take this one with a very, very small grain of salt, because there has been tons of rumors about Edge and tons of rumors about Christian. WrestleVotes told Give Me Sport that WWE higher-ups are not expecting Edge to leave WWE for AEW. If he retires this summer in Toronto, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if he finishes his current deal and then goes to AEW. WWE would be surprised too. Even though you've got Christian factored in, they could team one more time and wrestle each other one more time. I'd be surprised if he wrestles past WWE. WWE would be very surprised as well. Now, normally, I wouldn't question WrestleVotes or Give Me Sport, right? They've dropped some big stories. But these are the same sources that told everybody that WWE and Jay White was a very, very big possibility. Only for that same week for Jay White to appear on AEW television. So, Edge leaving WWE for AEW could make a lot of sense. It could, for him to go to AEW. By the way, we talked about it before. He turned down AEW to go to WWE. He didn't want to go to AEW when it started. But you just have to wonder what it would be like if Edge left the WWE and became Adam Copeland in AEW. And quite honestly, because so many people are talking about this, I don't think it's going to happen. That's just my prediction. Predictions could be wrong. My opinion could obviously turn out to be wrong. I think Edge needs to stay in WWE and just end his career there. But you never know. And that's what makes it interesting. WrestleVotes telling Give Me Sport, hey, WWE would be surprised. Well, how surprised was WWE when Jay White showed up on Dynamite? Now it's the Bullet Club Gold. I'm sure WWE is so shocked. I don't know. I did think it was funny, though, when I was talking about Bullet Club coming back in 2023 in WWE. It was a shitty idea, but good golly gosh, my good friends in the wrestling community, they sure love the Bullet Club in AEW. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.